Hello and welcome to highlights of the 2010 AutoGP Formula Sim Racing World Championship. Round 9 of the championship sees the teams return again to Spain, this time for the European Grand Prix. The race takes place around the ports of Valencia on a tight street circuit composed of 25 turns. Precision Motorsports' Bono Huis took his 5th pole position of the season, just ahead of Bruno Marquez for Twister Racing. Jarkko Mäkinen made the front of the second row, and Fredrik Nilsson qualified in 4th for the second time in succession. Rasmus Tali posted the 5th fastest time, and Matteo Prevot again qualified in 6th position. Off the start line, Huis got away cleanly, but Nilsson had a bad launch, which in turn impeded his own teammates' start behind him. This allowed Tali to move up and then outbrake Mäkinen to take 3rd. Hanel managed to pass Greco into the chicane and was immediately on the rears of Nilsson. The field got through the first sector cleanly, with the exception of Saxon, who was spun after contact with Disley. At the end of the long straight, Ronnie Hanel tried to move on Nilsson, but Nilsson kept his composure and the pair drove side by side through the following corners, with Nilsson ultimately managing to keep his position. Down the second straight, Tali was drafting right behind Marquez, but with Marquez going defensive, he couldn't quite find a way past. Just behind, Nilsson barely managed to fend off Hanel, and Hanel came dangerously close to losing control through turn 18. On the following lap, Tali made a move stick on Marquez, giving Precision Motorsports the top 2 positions, and by the start of the 3rd lap, Huis had already established a 3-second lead over the rest of the pack. With Tali quickly getting away from Marquez, Precision were again looking to be a dominating force. Ronnie Hanel, meanwhile, was engaged in some tight fighting with Lee Morris over 6th position. Giving the spectators a great show, the 2 drivers swapped positions on several occasions, but surprisingly, Morris eventually managed to keep in front of last round's winner. Even more surprisingly, Matteo Prevot was putting 8th place David Greco under all sorts of pressure, and on lap 10, Prevot made the pass look dead simple. A few laps later, Prevot's teammate Fredrik Nilsson managed to pass Mäkinen for 5th, putting both the Roaldo Racing drivers in a decent position after a terrible start. The first round of pit stops saw no change to the top 10 running order, and with the exception of Poniatowski, all drivers chose to run on a 2-stop strategy. Ronnie Hanel's race soon went sour. Making an early pit stop, he emerged just ahead of Patrick DeWitt, who locked up his brakes into turn 8, sending Hanel off the track, where he stalled his engine. At the midpoint of the race, Lee Morris caught up with the one-stopping Poniatowski, and after a lap-long battle for 6th position, Morris made a bad mistake, locking his brakes and spinning at the end of the second straight. He lost a place to Prevot and barely managed to keep in front of Greco for 8th. At the front, Bono Huis was comfortably in the lead, and with Rasmus Tali in 2nd, there seemed to be no challenge for the Precision team. Huis was clearly the fastest man on track, and there seemed little doubt that he would be able to take the win. In 3rd, Marquez was only just managing to keep Tali in his sights, but he was still continuing to push hard. At the second set of stops, there was again little change to the order, but this time Augustin Canapino had leapfrogged David Greco for 8th. Trying to take the position back, Greco locked his brakes badly, but luckily he avoided the wall and somehow kept his engine from stalling. After racing behind Nilsson for nearly 2/3 of the race, Jarkko Mäkinen eventually strung together enough clean sectors to get into Nilsson's slipstream. Nilsson fought hard to keep the position, but Mäkinen was too strong, and soon he created a gap back to Nilsson to solidify his 4th place. Starting from pole, setting the fastest lap and leading the Grand Prix from start to finish, Bono Huis drove an immaculate race and took his 3rd victory of the 2010 season, affirming his position as the championship leader. Rasmus Tali finished comfortably in 2nd, giving Precision maximum points. Marquez drove a strong race to claim 3rd, with Mäkinen finishing close behind in 4th. Nilsson and Prevot crossed the line in 5th and 6th to pick up some valuable points for their team. There was no change to the order of the top 10 driving standings after Valencia, but Huis is now a 19-point gap back to Marquez. Tali is still in touch with the leaders, only 4 points behind Marquez, and Mäkinen's great result has moved him within 2 points of Greco in 5th position. Another 1-2 for Precision sees the team gain a significant advantage over Twister in the Constructors, now with a gap of 33 points. And 3rd place Leon Cavallo have increased the gap back to SB Motorsports in 4th. With many teams failing to score at Valencia, Roaldo Racing have now moved up into 7th place. The next race will be the British Grand Prix. You can tune in at 5:25 GMT on the 4th of July for the multi-BC broadcast. To watch the action live, go to www.formula-simracing.net and follow the links to the live broadcast. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I'm Simon Adebisi, and we'll see you next week at Silverstone for the next round of the AutoGP FSR World Championship.